What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So, man, you guys already know, if you haven't watched this episode on this channel before, we talk about prison, crime, jail, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. I like to bring guests on the channel so we can hear different stories on how different people did their time in the prison system. So I got today's guest for you. He's out of Melbourne, Florida. Hey, bro, why don't you tell him what your name is and kind of how you grew up, bro?
My name is EO2177, according to the state, but Jason Ellis. I grew up in Satellite Beach, Florida. Not middle-class family, good family, a block from the beach, you know what I mean? And infatuated with gangsterism. That's the best way to say it.
All right.
I listened to too much Tupac in my youth.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, when was the first time, I'm taking it you started getting into trouble when you were, a teenager? When was the first time that you actually got into trouble?
When I caught the case and sent me up the road, actually.
All right. So, like, how did that go down? Let's hear it, man.
Well, basically, I was a 16-year-old kid hanging out with a bunch of 19, 20, 21-year-olds, going to strip clubs, fake ID, hanging out, thinking I was, I guess king shit because I was hanging out, this, that, and the other. And the reality of it was, being around people, I've always, looking back now, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, but I applied myself in the wrong direction for many years, unfortunately. And, unfortunately, it caught up to me. I had the opportunity to sell a couple firearms that were stolen. I did, and people snitched on me, caught a case, and the rest is history.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Like when I look back too, when I was young, like I put all my energy into being a criminal versus getting money the legal way. And it really ends up backfiring on you in the end. What were the exact charges that sent you up the road?
I was charged with burglary of a dwelling that became armed because the firearms were stolen from the residents and grand theft firearms. And unfortunately, people that I sold the firearms from, they recovered it from them and they turned state against me. And, I was tried as an adult, went to the detention center initially, only to be direct filed to the adults, to the county jail. And that was, an experience in itself for me growing up. I really didn't have it was a little bit of a reality check, but not bad, because the kids that were in the juvenile pod were in there for some horrendous things, but you wouldn't know it if you were around them because of how they acted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for real. I get what you're saying. Well, what was the experience like for you when you first got locked up? Because I know for myself, the first time I was ever locked up, I'm going to be honest, man, like I was kind of scared. I didn't know what to expect. The fear of the unknown is really what it was for me.
I was a little nervous once I got the JDC, not so much because it reminded me when I was a kid. I don't know if you and I think are pretty close to the same age, late 30s, early 40s. But, anybody that remembers the 80s, was those infomercials from insurance companies. If you have a temper problem, you have ADHD or bipolar or all that was going on. JDC reminded me because I had a temper problem when I was young, and they stuck me in some hospitals when I was a kid, and they tried to address my anger issues that were aggressive. And honestly, once I found sports, it was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? But it reminded me of that because I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that it couldn't be any worse than what I've been through there, because in moments where I showed my ass and kind of buck, you can't win. That's for sure when you're in those environments, because they will pin you down. They will strap you down to a gurney. They will your ass into basically equivalent of what you and I would call equivalent to a confinement, and leave your ass in there for a period of time to cool out.
Yeah, you can't win against them, definitely. How long were you in JDC before you ended up going up the road?
Couple months, and then Let me back it up a little bit because I also had another charge from my family of burglary of a dwelling
Oh,
and
okay.
theft because they said that it would get me help. The surf was good. They took my surfboard from me for punishment. I knew how to get my surfboard from my grandparents' house. So I went and took my board out the shed and went surfing. And by doing that, they charged me with a burglary of a dwelling and
Damn.
petty theft because I took a soda out the fridge.
Damn,
And
bro.
I got shipped from the detention center while I was waiting because my JDC officer found out they were direct following me. She shipped me out to my program. I had to go to a level 4 program for that. And when I finished that program, I got picked up. I had to go to court, and I was arrested as soon as I came out of the courtroom.
Okay, so you went to a program then, so you kind of already had like the mind state of kind of what prison was going to be like. That's how it was for me.
Yeah, but a level 4 program, man, is like a day at the park, man. It's like
it's like a kid camp, really.
Yeah, it's not really incarcerated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you had the armed burglary, and then you went to a program for that, and then caught the new charges.
I went to the program for the burglary from taking my surfboard.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right.
Well, that was going on.
I got you. When was it that you left JDC and then finally went into the Florida Department of Corrections?
I got sentenced to 4 years in '98, April '98, like April 8th or something like that. I want to say.
Okay. And you were under YO when you got sentenced?
I was.
Okay.
I ended up years in the county. Like when they counted all my time up, I had almost like 2 years time served.
Damn. So you were riding out in county for a minute then.
Yeah, because they couldn't make up their mind when I kept trying to get a bond. They were saying I was either a flight risk, or a danger to the community, which didn't make no sense because I didn't have no prior history.
That's crazy, man, how they're going to label you that for a surfboard, a pop. And I mean, you did a burglary and stole some guns or ammunition, and now you got an armed burglary, which a lot of people don't know, but that's a PBL in the state of Florida. I don't know if it was back then, but I know it is now.
It was then because, and that's the thing that I stress, like a lot of kids, you know, or parents, if you're watching this, if your kid's fooling around and they think that car hopping, you know, for change and they see a gun, take a gun, that becomes an armed burglary. That's a punishment.
That shit ain't no joke, man.
Well, I look at it back then, man, is that, you know, I was old enough to know right from wrong. I may not understand the extent of the consequences I could face because, honestly, I thought the worst thing that would happen was I'd go to a program and call it a day. You know?
Yeah.
When they did my staffing to try to determine if they want to send me back to the juvenile level or keep me as an adult, they recommended to send me back to juvenile. They agreed to send me to a level 8. The recommendation was to release me under like some type of probation while waiting on bed space, and then send me to the program. I actually had in my sentencing because I ended up having to take an open plea to court because the last plea they offered me was 13 years, and I wasn't taking that as an 18-year-old kid.
That's crazy, man.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I ain't doing that either.
I had no choice, you know. Plead to open court. The judge sat and listened to the arguments. I even had a Marine Corps recruiter come in and testify saying if they send me back to the juvenile system, when I was done with it, they would grant me a waiver and take me into the Marine Corps.
Damn, bro.
No, judge sided with the state attorney, sends me to 4 in and 2 out, man.
Man, so all right, you got 4 years DOC and then 2 years probation after you complete the the sentence?
Correct.
All right. So what was going through your head, man, when you got 4 years? When you're young, man, that seems like forever.
I was just ready to go, man, after being in the county so long.
Just get it over with?
Go get it over with. I knew I'd be able to go outside, work out. I knew I would be able to, you know, smoke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hell, back then, we were still be able to get flick books on the compound through the mail.
Damn. So what year was that when you finally landed in the DOC?
98.
Okay. Back when kind of prison was prison.
Yeah. I mean, hell, we even got, like, before they switched the canteen, we were able to buy loaves of bread off the canteen when I first got there.
Yeah. Yeah, I never got to buy no loaves of bread.
Well, that was back when they RC Cola Sunkiss root beer. But I ain't gonna lie, when they switched, it was like a year and some change later, when they switched to Pepsi products, I was so happy to get a Mountain Dew after
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for real, man. So besides the commissary and the canteen and shit, when you first what reception center did you land in Florida?
I went to Central Florida Reception Center.
Okay.
I was started the extended stay program or whatever the fuck it's called, extended day, the marching and all that shit. They just got there.
Oh, okay. So you were just starting to PT then?
Yeah, like when I got the BREVARD, it was all brand new.
Okay.
New
So that already kind of brings me to the next question. So when you left CFRC, which used to be OCI, you went to BREVARD was your first main camp?
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of people right now, in the YouTube world are telling stories from JIT camps, and a lot of them take place in Lancaster. But back before Lancaster was Lancaster, the place that the Gladiator School really came from was BREVARD. So just for the people tuning in that don't know that. So BREVARD was that real deal Holyfield, and that's where you're going to get tested. Now, when you got there, how did your testing go? Were they testing TOH in people then, or?
I mean, shit, my first scrap was probably 3 or 4 months after I was there. I didn't really have no problem. I mean, I kind of stayed my lane. You know what I'm saying? Like when we got off the bus, they had us line up on the walls. None of that. Like I've seen some people say you're getting slapped in the face by CEOs and all this other shit. They weren't doing none of that.
Damn.
They put us all in 2003 for all the new cocks that come on the compound. That stuck us in L1, where we went through our 2 weeks of orientation, and then they'll put you out on the compound.
So were people checking in back then?
I've seen a few people check in, but I mean, for the most part, I didn't really kind of see it like that. You know what I mean? It's just more of, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit of the Wild Wild West, man, to tell you the truth. You know?
Like you just get in beefs with somebody, you guys go in, scrap it out, shit like that?
Done. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you're on the compound, either if you got the scrap on the rec yard, that was either handled in the third handball court, or if you were in the dorms on the main compound in the pit, or an open bay, obviously the corner, which where my first scraps happened. But,
so how did that all go down? Your first scrap in the grid?
Honestly, it kind of started a little earlier when the kid sucker punched me, and then I was like, and then we went right in the count. I was like, all right, I got you.
So he boom hit you right before they were doing count time?
Yeah.
Damn.
From Broward. There was like 5 dudes in front of me from Broward, South Florida.
Okay.
And my people that lived on the bunk next to me knew him. Was like, yo, they're gonna jump you. And I was like, all right, good looking out. And anyhow, I kind of delayed the process, the inevitable. Went out the third rack, came in, and just pretty much said, get in the corner. And he didn't want to come. And then this other kid, Jerry Ford, stepped up. You better give that man Cracker what he want. Blah 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 blah. Tagged him a couple. Didn't want to fight. So then Jerry's like, "Oh, you know, fuck that shit. He ain't riding like that." And then me and him started scrapping. And
so he kind of took the fade.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen quite a few times.
And then me and him were scrapping. And then when there's like one time, because we like for whatever reason this night we decided it was a night to pop off because they'd already came in 2 other times and taking people to confinement for fighting. It just
so you guys were like, fuck it, we're gonna run it.
Everybody running it. And like one time, so like we split, and I went to I sat on a locker, and he came rushing forward me and tried to throw a kick. I dodged the kick, and as I'm getting stand up, he hit me flush, and blood everywhere, man. There's no hiding that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the only thing that was wrong with me when he tagged me that one shot. You know what I'm saying?
So did you end up going to confinement for that, or you guys slide with it?
No, I went to confinement, K-dorm.
Okay.
Like I guys in the comment thread saying that they built a new confinement where they used to have a storage out on the blacktop where they used to make us PT. They called it Y dorm. When I was there, it was K dorm in housing 2. There's no windows. This shit's like the dungeon, man. Like Thunderdome is what they used to call it. Again, you have no concept of time because you can't see outside other than when they bring you your meals.
So that's what the hole really is right there. Yeah. So when you got there, man, like I know my mind state the first time I went into confinement, and what was your mind state when you first got in there?
I kind of just like, oh, I mean, it is what it is. I knew my roommate. He was one of the guys that fought in my dorm that night, the same night that I fought.
Oh, okay.
Both of us, our mattresses were strapped up with ribs, so we were good to go. Like,
oh, so you were chilling then. You got an all right bunkie.
Yeah, both of us had multiple packs in the mattress. We were good to go.
Smoking lovely back there.
That's it. Got there for about a week, and then they gave us like this DR work squad shit for 15 days. We had to do.
Oh, that ain't bad. I've done DR work squad where you go around just cleaning up shit. Yeah, that's better than being back there. A lot of people won't take that though, because they're like, oh, I ain't working for them crackers, da 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 da, and they end up just doing the confinement time. Me, I was like, I'm getting the hell up out of here.
BREVARD, I would say, out of the places I have been in confinement, BREVARD, hell yeah, I'm getting out. Now, at another institution that I was in confinement at, I probably would just did the confinement time.
Yeah. So how long were you, when you got out of confinement, then how long were you at BREVARD? Was that the camp you EOS from, or how did all that shit go down?
No, I EOS from Orlando Work Release Center, actually, in May of 2000.
Okay.
After that happened, I kind of got put on the compound. I don't know if they still have the program or not when you went through tier. My classification, they complete a tier program, get your GED, and I'll send you. I said, bet. I'll get it done.
Yeah, bet that up.
I was education, did the tier program one half the day, but even still, it did me no favors either because, last time I kind of went into it a little bit, and the connection, whatever, wasn't good. But I'll say it again, like I was in the classroom and I got accused of an assault that happened on the rec yard. It got called out of the education in the complex 2. And anybody that's been to BREVARD, they know about complex 1 and 2. They strip you down to your drawers. It's fucking colder than shit in there. And that's where the beatings go down. They'll cuff you up and beat the fuck out of you. You know what I'm saying?
So that was going to be one of my questions. So when you were in BREVARD, because I know when I was in prison just in 2014, like guards are fucking kicking people to sleep. Yep. And I've heard about, there's that old myth that there's bodies they found in a lake out at Lake CI. There was even JITS that were supposedly murdered in the JIT camps. That's why they closed them down. Like, what did you see? And what do you remember the most about what you saw the officers doing to inmates?
I would say one of the biggest thing that stands out is, aside from the beating that I received on the house, personally, that incident would be during softball season. I was on the rec yard, and there was this kid from Miami. His name was Times. He said he beat up a Cuban kid in the county jail. Well, let me tell you something. There was probably fucking 20 or 25 fucking Chicos chasing this dude with knives in their hand, and he runs up on the fucking COs that are watching the softball game. The COs seen the dude, the Chicos behind him, shoved him, like pushed him off of him, and then literally stood there and watched the Chico stab the dude up.
Damn.
And there's nothing they could have really done, I guess, or without putting themselves at real risk. But still, it's kind of fucked up to sit there like,
yeah,
dude, like, why aren't you spraying these motherfuckers or something? I don't know. But
so they kind of just sat back and watched the dude get wet up.
Yeah, more or less, and until it fizzled out, and then jumped into it, and then more. Obviously, the backup rolled out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So would you say, the craziest thing you saw at your time in JIT camp?
No, actually, we had 3 days of riots in March of '99.
Like whole compound riots or just different dorms? Damn. So it was popping off.
Yeah, it started on a Sunday. I was in the Vizzo, so I didn't see what happened, but I guess a couple hundred dudes popped off coming out of Housing 3 through the gate at the rec yard. And we're all scrapping because they were just wanted to get shipped. And, they locked down the compound. Instead of investigating, keeping us locked down, they let us up the next day at work call. They popped off again on the compound, actually by the gym, by the gymnasium in the rec yard gate where you come and go through. And then they locked us down again for the day, let us up the next day. And I was actually on the rec yard for the third one because I started peeping them clicking up. I was like, well, I'm going to start making my way towards the gate because apparently the ones that they didn't get that were involved in shit the last couple of days, it's about to go down. Me and a couple of my dogs started making our way up because if you've been to BREVARD, there's to the left, like if you're looking at the compound from like Cracker Beach or whatever you want to call the field.
Cracker Beach, old Cracker Beach, boy.
No, I mean, I don't know what else to call it, man. That's what we called it. You know?
That's what they're still calling it.
But there's 3 huts, and there would always be where the dip bars and pull-up bars on these huts where dudes would work out, you know, this, that, and the other. But they were clicking up under the huts, and they were clicking up over by the handball courts. And you know, I walked like I was going to the gym and go out that gate, and then I seen 2 dudes walking over to by the volleyball court, and that was the distraction fight. They started bumping, and then fucking, I don't know how. Best way I can describe it is, anybody, you ever seen Braveheart with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, badass movie.
Just picture 2 large groups of people just running at each other.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm out. Fucking hard.
So was that like a gang thing? Was there gangs back when you were in there? Was it home team type shit?
This, I think, was more home team shit, but there was gangs, and Latin Kings were really big on the compound. Didn't really see too many blood. I think I only saw 1 blood that whole commitment. I mean, overall, I mean, there was just a lot of bullshit politics in BREVARD because even in another instance, this officer, like, I don't even know to this day, like, why he made this shit up about me or whatever, because they came and got me out of my dorm one day, told me to cuff up, and I'm like, okay, and then took me to medical for pre-confinement and had my shit packed, and then they came over the radio, put me in complex 2, and then by the time of work call, they told me to go back to my dorm. And then I found out later on that this officer said, because I was from BREVARD, I guess I was going to have their bowling league fucking shot up or some crazy, ridiculous story. And that was
Damn.
They were going to put me under investigation.
Why do you think that all happened? Were you like talking shit to them or something?
I talked shit to him because he's a fucking piece of shit and a douchebag.
So he had it out for you.
I think it had a lot more to do, honestly, with my dorm officer, because he was obsessed with my dorm officer, and I was always cool with her. You know what I'm saying? And nothing inappropriate never happened, but I was always in my job and, you know, stay in my lane. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't hit that shit, boy? Nah.
On the outside, I came close. Actually, I ran into him. She was bartending, and I came close like 10 years after the fact. But
well, what's the odds of that, huh?
I was trying. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? We fought around, and I saw a side of her that I didn't know existed in the strip club, and she was getting into it with the girls and shit.
Yeah.
But you know, I think a lot of it had to do with her. You know what I'm saying? And you know, honestly, if it wasn't for this Sergeant DeWolf, because he would see me every weekend at visitation with my family, and they got to know my family. For whatever reason, he took a liking to me, and he's the one that got me out of the investigation. I found out when they told me to put me in complex.
Yeah.
He's the one that stopped to that shit and told me to go back to my dorm. Just like when I got into another fight, and that's how we found out we had snitches in the dorm over a basketball game. Me and this dude put, you know, pack supports on the game, and we couldn't come to a resolution on because of the fouling and shit, you know, this, that, and the other. And we fought about it. I mean, it is what it is. You know, when it was done, it was done. Like a week later, we both got called to the colonel's office asking us about it. And we're like, what are you talking about?
Damn.
You know?
So he was that officer was probably hating on the fact that chick was cool with you, and he was probably got in his feelings about it. That's probably why he did that shit.
It up didn't make any sense. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not getting ready to leave for work release. Although I ain't gonna lie, like when I left from BREVARD and went to Orlando because they just changed the permanent party from 15 months to 12 months.
Yeah.
There was a lot of us from BREVARD that were very unhappy being at that reception center there in that time, where we were telling them, fuck this transfer, send us back to our permanent camp. We don't want to be here.
Damn. So BREVARD kind of sounds sweet then when you were there, man.
It kind of was, man. I mean, if you stayed your lane, because we had a 2-man room, we had keys to our room. Like, it was literally set up like a dorm. Like, I don't know later on they took the doors off the hinges or not, but when I was there, we had a door and a key to be able to
Yeah,
lock.
well, that actually used to be like a community college, right?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, it's always been like a prison because.
Yeah, I heard it was a college at some point, but I could be wrong. You know how you hear stories and shit.
I see some of these other interviews and they talk about people getting wet up and this and that because we could have razors back then. Now you can't have a razor and shit like that. I say it was more gladiator school. There was a lot of fighting going on. It just depends on where you were to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the extent of it. Other than you piss off the wrong Chico, the Chico thinks he can't win, he'll stab you. That happened quite a bit. But as far as me personally, I only saw a couple stabbings happen, or threat stabbing that prevented other escalating situations.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So you were at BREVARD, you went to a work release. How long were you at work release before you EOS'd?
Probably 8 months. I almost didn't make it from that time when I was at the reception center because it just they locked the JITS down in A-Storm like 20 hours and 22 hours a day. You had people there that are putting down and trying to fucking take your job and lock you in. Like, oh, bitch, you ain't locking me in.
Not today.
No, shit like that. But then more importantly, you had some scary ass shit eaters that work there that like to fuck with people.
Yeah, then, no doubt they do.
Try to flex their muscle and shit. I mean, like, I came to an understanding with this one dude because he was fucking with these guys. I'm gonna write you a CC. And new cocks don't know no better. They think the CC's gonna ruin their fucking hitting their date. No, man. But he asked me what I was there for. I said, go look at my card. You can go up there and look. And then he said something slick along the lines, I bet you're here for robbing old ladies and all that other shit. And I was already irritable, and I told him he got me fucked up. I said, tell you what, you think that? Shoot me a fade, motherfucker.
So if you want to hear what happened with that fade, you got to subscribe to the channel, show some support, like these videos, comments, let me know what you think. And we're going to be dropping part 2 soon. It's in the works. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.